It's me, Hi, attempting to make another exciting video here on YouTube, throwing it out into the ether, where 1.5 billion people make videos every single day, and here I am in the midst of it all. Wow. Anyway, a number of people have written on the YouTube channel that I can't get into with all the subscribers. And they've said, what's your health like? We know you're getting old and taking dementia tests all the time. Well, the dementia is, I think, between you and I, slowly getting worse. The other day I was talking with some people and they asked me about my background. And I talked about teaching in broadcast school. I talked about the Franciscans, but failed to mention close to 40 years in broadcasting. I think that a little bit strange. Don't panic. There's a lot strange these days. I keep wondering, how can a destroyer in the U.S. Navy, a destroyer is meant to protect other ships. That is their sole purpose. That's why they exist. Can run into a freighter that's almost the size of the Empire State Building. How could this happen? When you have 20 people, 24, 25, I don't know how many they have on a deck at night, but there's a bunch of people using their eyes that are supposed to be looking for things like this. Now, a freighter at night, as it approaches you, should be visible to a lot of those people. It's actually, I'll try to explain it, because it's much the same way in airplanes. They have navigation lights. And there's a red light, and there's a green light, and there's a white light. Now, when you look at this, don't ask me how this phenomena occurs. It's a matter of physics, which I did about as well in as I did geography, and we're not going to go there. But if it's coming right at you, from the moment you can see those lights, if it's on a collision course, you will see 3 lights: a red light, a white light, and a green light. If it's going off to your port side, or to your starboard side, which you now have to say right and left, you should be able to tell which way it's going, because you will see 2 lights, a white and a green light, or a white and a red light. Now, how did they miss that? Now, I guess you might have 7 people looking at radars, and somehow on the radar they miss that, and somehow on the other ship they're looking at their radar and they miss it too. What are they, all asleep? I can't figure it out at all. It's a complete mystery. If something the size, almost, I tend to exaggerate, it is my way, is approaching you, that's the size almost of the Empire State Building, you would think somebody somewhere would notice this. But somehow they don't, and they collide. And the other ship has to turn around to see what they hit. This would imply that neither ship had made contact on the radio with the other ship, which is something that even Boy Scouts do when they're out in a rowboat. Maybe not Boy Scouts, but Sea Scouts would do it. So anyway, that kind of confused me. And then we have the House bill. The House bill, they're gonna give them about 8 to 12 hours to look at it. I could go on for hours, but I think the whole thing, even though it's going to plunge millions of people into the graveyard with painful deaths, Trump can't tolerate anything Obama did, and he's certainly not going to accommodate a bill called the Obama bill for health. No, he wants it to be the Trump bill for health. Let's see how that works out for you, Mr. Trump. Yeah, you can go down in history for being responsible for this fiasco. Good work, and it'll have your name on it. It's what he wants. He doesn't understand the future. Anyway, the main purpose for this video is to tell you that I am feeling a little better, and to mention the loss of a very good friend of mine, Chuck Cade. Many years ago at Oaks Park, when I first came to Portland to do a talk show, Chuck Cade was my producer. And we seem to having too much of this happening. He's hit by a driver that doesn't stop in his car with his wife, and they're pushed into a telephone pole. I saw this on the news, but I didn't connect it with my friend Chuck. The car was totally disintegrated. They had to rip the roof out to get him and his wife. Chuck held on for about a month in the hospital in intensive care and passed away. And one of the things that distresses me the most is I really would like to go to that funeral, but because of the cancer, there's the problem of the immune system being weakened, and the fact that I still can't walk or do any marathons because of the broken hip. I won't be able to go to his funeral. I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain without trying to play the sympathy card. It's hard to admit that the things you used to do, you can't do anymore. And I listened to some tapes of an earlier show back in the 80s, late 80s, and I noticed something's gone wrong with my voice, too. It's gravelly. It's no longer smooth like it used to be. Could it have to do with all those birthdays I have? Anyway, just to touch base, if you will excuse me.